everyone, and welcome back to another episode of More Sewing with Michele. On today's episode, we have got a special, it's another crazy crossover. So we are going to be sharing information with Sewing Tech Talk with Kathy. And let me show you what we're working on this week. So you can see I have a different machine set up here. This is the Baby Lock Vesta, which is a combination sewing and embroidery machine. It has so many features that I can't wait to share with you. But the other thing that we've got is the secret ingredient embroidery files that we have, and I'm going to be showing you samples, and I'm going to get my machine going real quick here too. So let me hit the start button. It's going to be stitching as I talk. So we've got a lot to show you this week. I can't wait. Let's get going on this week's More Sewing with Michele. So let me talk a little bit about this amazing machine. Now, like I said, it's a combination machine. So not only does it have all the amazing sewing features, but it's got some great features for embroidery. It has 290 built-in embroidery designs. It has two hoops, a 5x7 and an 8x10, which is what's on the machine now. It has 13 sewing feet that comes with the machine. A touch screen machine. Look how big that screen is for a small machine. You can touch things and make things adjust. It has color sorting. Now, if you're a machine embroiderer, you know if you have multiple designs that you want to stitch on the same hoop, you'll bring those up, but oftentimes it will go through the first one's colors, completely finish that embroidery design, and then start the second one. Well, what color sorting does, it allows you to work on both of those designs at the same time. It will stitch all the same colors in the same order. It saves time. It saves you having to rethread your machine so much. So I love color sorting, and this machine has it. It's got an edit screen that's larger than most smaller sewing machines. It's a great machine for traveling because of its compact and lightweight shape. What am I saying? It's just lightweight. It's the perfect one to take if you're traveling to classes. Or if you travel a lot and you want to take it up to your cabin in the mountains and back home again. It's a great machine. It's got a lot of great features, and it is just wonderful. Once again, this is the Baby Lock Vesta. Now, Kathy has been showing a lot of it on her Sewing Tech Talk. So this is my crossover of the Baby Lock Vesta. Now, we've both been working on the secret ingredient. So these designs here on machine embroidery. Now, Kathy, what have you made with them?
Hey Michele, this is Kathy from Sewing Tech Talk. I love these designs. I've made not only the little hanging, I did a project where I made it into a pocket and put it on a pretty neat apron. Come on over to Sewing Tech Talk and I'll show you all the fun stuff I did. See you there.
So that was great, Kathy. I know everyone can't wait to check out Sewing Tech Talk featuring the secret ingredient and the machine, the Baby Lock Vesta. As you can see in the background here, this one's going to town. It's doing some stitching on the quilted part after I appliqued some red fabric onto my tea towel. So during this whole presentation that I have for you today, it's just going to be stitching away so you can see all the different elements and how it works. So if you look up close, look at Kathy's sample here. You can see that she's used some wonderful fabrics, some creative stitching, and that's one of the things that I love about machine embroidery is you can take things, change those fabrics, and make it completely unique for you as far as where you're going to put it and what colors are important to you. So I'm going to check out a few more samples that I have featuring the secret ingredient in just a little bit. But until then, let me check what the machine needs now. So it's finished out the quilting part, and now it's going to do some places for me to do applique. So let me go ahead and hit the foot, drop it. It's going to do, looks like, yeah, it's going to do the securing satin stitch, and then it's going to show me the placement stitches for 2 other appliques that I'm going to do. So I'm going to let the machine do its work, and let's move on. Now, as you can see, I still have that Vesta going in the background, and throughout this whole episode of More Sewing with Michele, I'm going to let the machine do its thing. So you can see now it's doing some detailed stitching, and let me talk a little bit about the secret ingredient. Now, these embroidery files are pretty cool. I love them. Janine Babbage is the designer. Now, she lives in Florida, and she's got 20 years of teaching experience and 50 years of sewing experience. So she is 100% a veteran of embroidery and sewing. Now, the secret ingredient embroidery files has all this wonderful here. I'll hold it up close. You can see that the large design is 6.5 by 11 inch hoop that you can use. The smaller one is 5 3/4 by 9 3/4. There's multiple embroidery formats for all of the different embroidery machines out there. She has clear and concise instructions, and I love that. So in here, you will get the designs to make a small, a large, as well as a towel design. Now here you can see I've got a towel hooped up, it's doing all its stitching, and I love that. So with the towel design, you can do so many different things. You can put it on pretty much so anything. Now if you see, Kathy here made a little wall hanging, and that works too. So it will come with a DVD so that you can download it on the computer, and it also has, like I said, all the instructions in here. It's a pretty fun design, and it's fun to stitch out and fun to create with it. So this design right now, we are doing some of the applique. So it might be hard to tell, but you can see when I put the fabric down that there's a rolling pin here and a coffee cup. So I've got my applique fabric. I'm using just some of the scraps that I have, and I'm going to go ahead and slide it in, making sure that that placement lines are completely covered. And I'm going to have to cut this back a little bit because it's overlapping where my coffee cup is, and we don't want that. So let me slide that back in, making sure that my lines are completely covered. So my rolling pin is going to be this wonderful gray color. Now I picked this fun zigzag fabric for my coffee mug, and I'm going to lay that down so that the mug's pattern follows like it would be if it was standing up. And then you can see that I have a little overlap again, so I'm going to cut that fabric away so it does not interfere with the stitching. Okay, so let me cut a little bit off the side too. Now normally I would just kind of work with it, but being that I'm going to hit the button and let it go, want to make sure that it's perfect for you. So first part of applique, I'm going to now hit the go button, and it's going to do its stuff. And as you can see, it's going to do a stitch all the way around that's going to secure those fabrics. It's going to go completely around the rolling pin. And then it's going to switch over to where the coffee mug is. Just a second here. This is what I love about machine embroidery. You can get such intricate designs. The machine does all the work, and you just get to sit back and watch the magic happen. So now it's doing the placement stitch. Now I'm not going to worry that my threads here are gray on top of the red fabric, because it's going to be doing a satin stitch on top. Those threads basically are going to be covered up, and you're not going to see them. So the next part of applique is you're going to want to have a scissor to cut around that extra fabric. So you can see here, I have a scissor that's bent, and it has a bill on it here. And that way I can get in, and I'm going to show you here, you can get in and you keep the bill part of the scissor flat, and then you can cut away like so, and look how close it gets to the edge. That's why I love these build embroidery scissors. So once again, it's got the curve, so you can get flat in there, and then you're going to cut all the way around. Now I'm going to do that, and then I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so you can see now that I have attached the applique. It's doing its fun stitches around. So it is doing the applique stitch around the rolling pin. And it's going to take care of that, and then it's going to move on to that coffee mug. And I want to show you how easy it is to thread this machine and also to thread the needle. So we're going to let it do its work a little bit, and I want to show you real quick the design here up close. So you can see here, it's got some pretty intricate stitching. The part that it's working on right now is this rolling pin. It's doing the gray stitch, but on here, the sample, it's brown, and then it's going to be doing the word secret on the inside. So that's pretty neat. We've already done the detailed stitching in the background. We've already done the satin stitch around the applique for the base fabric, and this is that coffee mug. Isn't that cool? So this one here is plaid fabric, but on mine, like I said, I'm going to have that zigzag fabric. And then you can see we've got a few more things that we need to take care of as stitching. But what I love is you can see that I've used different fabrics, different colors, and that is just some of the fun things that you can do with embroidery. It's going to have the same, feel and look to it, but you can customize it for your kitchen. And I absolutely think that's perfect with embroidery. So let's watch the machine a little bit more here. So it has finished doing all of the detail stitching around that rolling pin. The next part that it's going to work on is the inside of the coffee mug to give it some shading. So I wanted to show you real quick how to change your threads on your machine. Now, the first thing that you always need to be aware of is in this area of your machine is where the tension discs are. So a lot of people, and believe you me, I was one of these people that would literally, when I went to change my thread, would just pull the thread out, and it would pull that thread all the way back down here from the needle, all the way back through. The problem with that is that that can mess up the tension discs. Now, the tension discs are pretty darn important for your sewing machines. So you want to, make sure that you don't damage them in any way. So here's the simple trick. So instead of pulling your threads backwards, you're going to snip your thread here. You're going to go down to the bottom and pull it from the needle area to get rid of that extra thread. And that way you can take your spool. I always like to cinch up the ends so that they don't unravel, and you're good to go. So I'm going to change for the shadow part to this red thread. So I'm going to simply put it on. Now, normally I would put a cap on there, and you're going to follow the machine's path up, down, and it's got numbers. So let me finish this part. There we go. It's as simple as that. So you can see on this machine it says 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will give you the path so that you'll know how to go about actually threading. But we're going to drop this down, and this Baby Lock Vesta has a pretty cool needle threader. On the side here, you'll see that there's a lever, and I'm simply going to push it down, and voila, my needle is threaded. So now I can go ahead and hit the go button, and it'll start doing that shading part in the inside of my coffee mug. And we'll watch it stitch just a little bit, and then I'm going to move on to something else. So with the shading, it's not going to be a satin stitch. It's going to be a looser stitch so that you can see some of the color from the fabric on the back side. So it's a pretty quick stitch to go through. And there you go. So you can still hear that Vesta working away for today's episode. So if you want to pick up the secret ingredient embroidery designs, you're going to go to moors-sew.com, or you can click on the link in the description, which will take you to the landing page where you can pick up any and all designs, as well as you may want to pick up these wonderful embroidery duckbill scissors. And you can also get that Vesta machine that we're talking about. So, any and all products available at more-sew.com, as well as the More Sewing with Michele landing page. Let's get back to the stitching. Okay, still stitching away. It has finished the pie on the bottom, and it's adding some of those wonderful heart details now. So, as I said before, I promised that I would share some samples with you. So, this is the sample that I showed before that Kathy made. Love it. And then Kathy also made this really cool apron featuring the secret ingredient files. Now, look really closely here. Not only did she use some pretty cool bird fabric, but she made this a pocket. So you could put your rolling pin or whatever tools of the trade you need for baking. I love the use of color. I love her fabrics. And look at this cute little stinking scallop border on the bottom. Really cool. I love when people think outside the box and create something unique and fun. And that is exactly what it is with this next sample. So we've taken the embroidery files and we've made a cookbook cover. Isn't that stinking cute? So take your favorite cookbook, protect it on the outside with an adorable fabric and these wonderful files. We even added some tassels on the side for a little fun. I love it. I love the color, and I think it's such a great idea. And then we also have one other sample of a tea towel. Look how pretty this one is. So taking your colors, maybe dropping them down a few hues, have them be a little bit more subtle, and look how pretty that is. That's a great additive to any kitchen. So these design files by Janine Babbage, The Secret Ingredient. So many things that you can create with them. And I've only shown you a few. I know there's a lot of other stuff out there that you can put your creative brain on and make something really fun and unique. Let's get back to the machine and see where we're at now. So it's still stitching those hearts, so it's going to be just a little bit. The design's almost done. It's almost time to take it out of the hoop to show you the finished design. And just so you know, don't forget to use your coupon code this month. The coupon code is MSWM2 for the month of February. Don't forget, you're going to want to use it when you pick up the secret ingredient and also your embroidery duckbill scissors or any and all other items that I have on my More Sewing with Michele landing page. Don't forget, MSWM2 for this month's coupon code. Let's check out and see where it's at. Okay. Oh, it's almost done. It's just doing some finishing stitches on the design. And I love that Janine Babbage, when she did her digitizing, she didn't just have a satin stitch. She has securing stitches on top of her satin stitch. So it's a basic embroidery, but with more oomph to the design. And I love that when you have additional accents to any of your embroidery stitching. Oh my gosh, let me check it out, see if it's ready yet. On the screen here, you'll see that it says that it has less than a minute left. So it's got, it looks like that's it. So let me take it out. Okay. So along with one of the things I also didn't show you. So here's the finished thing. Isn't it cool? I love it. On top of that, she has additional stitching at the start where she does a securing basting stitch all the way around, which helps to make sure that your fabric doesn't migrate when it's doing machine embroidery. So it's completely done. I love it. I can't wait to give this away as a gift or use it in my kitchen. I haven't decided yet. But the great thing is, once you purchase the embroidery designs, you can make as many of them as you need to. So that's about it for this week's More Sewing with Michele. I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. Until then, everyone, happy sewing. Bye-bye.